Good morning, guys. Welcome back to KC Farms. I wanted to talk a little bit about the problem that most of us face when we start getting into homesteading or even just backyard poultry or things like that. And that problem is being able to do chicken math. And then you look back, we've had chickens about 3 years now, and we look back and think, man, how did I get so many chickens? Well, I think it's pretty easy. So we're going to talk about chicken math today, but just brought you over here today. We moved these guys out of down in the woods there. I'm going to be gone this weekend, so I moved them up here a little bit so they're easier for Jamie to get to and feed. But this is our group of chickens, minus our rooster, which we just got last year. These are the first group of chickens that we got when we started this journey. And they used to be in two separate pens, and now we've mixed them together. But when we were thinking about chickens, we were like, well, maybe we should start with 20. Well, if we do 20, we might as well just get 40 because it's not that much harder. The problem with chickens is they're easy to raise, they don't eat a lot, and they're very efficient animals. So it's easy to start multiplying really quick when you get to chickens. So the reason we started with these chickens, we wanted different egg colors than most. We didn't want just a white egg or a brown egg, so we ended up getting Welsumers, and they lay that dark speckled egg, and well, let's get 20 of them. Well, what if some die? Let's try 25. And then we thought, well, what if we get them here and one of the males died, and now we don't have a male, so we can't have any fertile eggs. So we ended up getting 3 males, and then we decided which one to keep, and so it adds up quick. But this is our first problem when it comes to chickens. You think, well, what if some die in shipping? What if this? What if that? So I always get more than you need. But like I said, they're easy to take care of and quite efficient animals, and they do a lot for you. So it's easy to start getting a whole bunch of chickens. So this is our first group of chickens, and they are still doing awesome. Their laying production goes down a little bit every year, but they're starting to really pick up right now, and we're getting over a dozen eggs. There's probably 20 some hens in here. So that's how the math equation started. Let's run over to our next group and see this formula we use to get all these chickens. Looks like we might have a math pig problem as well. That's another video. Another problem you face, some hatcheries, if you order 25, because that's our magic number, they send you a free exotic chicken. Do I want it? Yes or no? Of course we want it. It's a free chicken. So they send you an exotic chicken, and your daughter falls in love with it. But you can't just have one, because it'll be lonely by itself, and the other ones pick its head. So yes, let's get one of every color of the Polish, so they all have a buddy. So that's another way they add up. Another extra 5, 6, 7 chickens, because you don't want them to be alone. The free exotic is another way that adds into your math equation. All right, so after your first year and you're raising those chickens, and then you start selling some eggs, and you're like, well, we need to add more chickens because we're selling a lot of eggs and we don't even have enough for ourselves. So then the next spring comes along and you add more chickens, and you're like, well, I want to get a different breed. I don't want the same breeds. We want to have some cool stuff on the farm. And then you think to yourself, we have the COVID pandemic, and you're worried maybe you can't get chickens. So then I'm like, well, I want to get a breed that maybe if I have to, I could eat them. They get big enough to eat, but they lay good eggs. So then you add a new batch of chickens, and you don't want to put them with your other ones because you want to keep them separate, because that way you can hatch out your own eggs. So you have to build another chickshaw. And of course, you don't just get 20, you get 25, and you get a couple roosters because you don't want your one rooster to die, and then all you're left with is a bunch of hens, and you can't hatch your own eggs. So we went with Bielefelders, and love this chicken. And then all of a sudden, one of them goes broody, and you're like, well, I don't need the chickens, but since she's sitting on them and hatching them out, why stop her, you know? Those are free chickens. So she hatches out a couple, and you add 3 or 4 to your flock. And before you know it, you're at 25 again after you lose a couple. And so the number just keeps on adding. So you add that to your previous flock and you get up to about 60 chickens. And it makes sense in your mind. The math all works out. And so that's why you add more. And after you find a breed you like the Bielefelders, you think to yourself, well, my other chickens are getting a little old now, and we're selling a lot more eggs, and we can't even keep up with the egg sales. So let's just get a high production chicken. So you go on and you look in the hatchery book and you find some high production chickens. Let's go check out those. So you're up to around 60 chickens, and they do a lot of work for you. You know, they eat the bugs. They go behind your pigs and break down manure. They're easy to take care of. We've already talked about that. They don't really eat that much. So you get a high production chicken and you add another 25 of those. That just seems like the magic number when you order 25. So you add some Novagens and you end up with 25 extras. And then you love the Welsumers, and they're getting old, so you want more of those cool Welsumer eggs. So you add Welsumers. So there's the Welsumers. You add another 20 because that's the magic number, right? So you're up to 80. Now some of them don't make it because you ship when it's cold, because you want them to lay eggs in the springtime. And then you call up the hatchery and tell them, and they're like, well, do you want a refund or you want us to send you some more chicks? And of course you want the chicks because you want the eggs. So then that next batch comes. So you're at 80 and you got 20 more coming. So then you go in and let's check out those. So like I was saying, your one batch, you really love the eggs they lay, and you're like, man, we could use a lot more of those. So you get on in the spring when you're getting excited about your flocks and you order more. You get those 20 Welsumers because you just love their eggs and they're easy to take care of. So you add 20 more Welsumers and you're super excited about your egg basket. And so here they are, and chicks are easy to take care of, so why not? Well, let's just do 25 again, just in case I lose some. I don't want to have to start with younger chicks, put in with older chicks. So you get 25 and you're excited about those eggs. Well, then the problem happens. You get an incubator and you're like, man, I can hatch out my own eggs. Man, that's fun. My chickens are laying eggs for just the price of feed, and you're pretty much paying for feed because you're selling the eggs. Then you grab 22 eggs and you hatch out your own Bielefelders, and you can keep your own flock going. Well, that's fun to hatch them out. So then you got 22 more sitting in here. They're easy to take care of. They're not that hard, and you're adding to your own flock without going through a hatchery. So you add 22 more, plus the 25 Welsumers to add to your flock, and you're easily up over 100. But it's not that hard. You can easily just build another chickshaw. And if I have to, I can let them free range. They'll be fine. So we're over 100. But wait, the reason we got into this is because we wanted to feed our family. It's easy to feed your family once you learn how to butcher, and you can get the best meat available. So you go in and you get more meat birds. They only last 8 weeks, so what's so hard about that? So you order 25 more meat birds, and they come in and they're so cute and fluffy, and well, it doesn't matter because they're not going to be here that long, so I can add extras. And you got 25 meat birds to add, and then you've got meat in your fridge for the whole year. Well, so you're up easily over 140 birds, but those ones are going to be gone in 8 weeks, so that's not a big deal. Then you get a call, and because something happens, you get a great deal on some chickens. You're not really ready for them, but the deal's too good to turn down, so you just make it work. And you drive an hour out of your way because it's a great deal, right? So you add 50 more meat birds that you weren't ready for, but you've got customers wanting your meat chickens and you don't want to let them down. So the weather's warm enough, so yeah, we can add 50 more meat chickens. So you add 50 more meat birds, and to your order of 25 that you already had coming, you weren't ready for these, but you make it work. So somehow, I'm not really sure how, you figure out your equation, you add, subtract, multiply, and the math makes sense. So I'm not sure how the chicken math works out, but it works out. You make it work. They're fun to take care of. They're easy to take care of. And they always give you eggs. So the way we look at it is the eggs are paying for their food, and we're using them for bugs. We're using them to break down manure. We're using them in our gardens. So the math just all makes sense. So I don't know how your chicken math works out, but if you have a different formula, let us know down in the comments. Appreciate you guys following along. Make sure you like, subscribe, check us out on the next video. We'll see you on the next one.